y'all, it's Laura and welcome back to a Cocoa Vanilla Design Team layout and doing a boy layout today. I had these really sweet pictures of my youngest son getting out the watercolors, having a bit of a play, and I immediately thought of a legendary paper that has a rainbow painty look to it. That paper immediately popped into my brain and I had to use it right now. I don't know about y'all, but occasionally I will come across photos that immediately trigger a certain need to use a collection on them, and I just have to scrap them right away and get that design out of my brain and onto the page, and oh, I love how this came out. It's so fun, it's bright, and it's colorful, and it's perfect for these watercoloring photos. Now, I did go ahead and gut the orange paper that I'm using as a border around my white cardstock. I do that quite often to conserve paper so that I'm not wasting all of that beautiful, luscious Cocoa Vanilla paper back behind this white cardstock. The white cardstock that I use for Cocoa Vanilla in specific is Hamilco, and it's the perfect shade of white to match these collections, and it's very thick. It's nice and sturdy, so it doesn't really need the extra oomph from a full page behind it. Using some Pocket Life cards to tuck behind my photos instead of matting them in completely all the way around, I'm just tucking them in at the top right and bottom left. And then this lovely card is going to become my title. So I decided to fussy cut out this epic from the 3x4 cut apart, and that is such a brilliant title. It fits perfectly right in that spot. I was so excited to make that work, and I do end up popping that up onto foam later to give it a little bit of dimension, and oh, excellent. Absolutely perfect for that spot. I was so excited. Now I'm going to go ahead and tape all of this down off camera, but first I wanted to go ahead and add in some clear stickers. The focus for my layout is on stickers, and you'll see I end up using quite a few. First of all, I'm going to create an arrow border down the right side of the page using the clear stickers, and I'm going to take the arrows and kind of switch them. So facing up, facing down, facing up, facing down. And that just makes it a little bit more interesting. Now you could choose all to go in one direction, but because these arrows are all different sizes and shapes, really, I mean, they're all arrow shapes, but they're a little bit different. I thought it would be a little bit more fun to go ahead and alternate the way that they are heading. And luckily I had an extra pack of these clear stickers because I needed to use 5 to get down the entire length of that 12 by 12. But in the end, I really think this is a fun element. These little details make a huge difference on your page. Yes, I do a very linear style overall, but having these tiny details that took you just an extra few minutes, I promise you, just makes your page pop and just gives the reader something to look at, your audience something to enjoy on every page. Now this column here behind my photos, that is the paper that was in my brain immediately, those beautiful rainbow painty stripes. And luckily I had it in scrap size, so I was able to just pull it in and kind of fit together a little border right behind it using the scraps from previous layouts. Now at first I was going to create a cluster here, and then I realized I had a whole bunch of these phrase stickers left from a cardstock sticker sheet, and I'd used the whole thing up except for the phrase stickers. And so I had cut them all apart and just tucked them into an ephemera pack, thinking, well, that'll make it easier for me to use them. And sure enough, I'm going to use a whole bunch of them down the right side of this photo. So we're getting clear stickers and cardstock stickers on this one, and I just picked out a bunch of phrases that I felt really fit how I view him painting, and varied the length of them just to make it look interesting. And then I'm going to go back in and add in some fishtails to the end of all of the banners just for a little bit of fun. I would recommend generally doing that before sticking down all of your stickers, but it didn't occur to me till afterwards. So we had to do things in the wrong order this time. It worked out fine. So now I'm adding some little bits of foam behind my letters for my title, and this will help pop it up a little bit and create a shadow underneath, and has a very cool dimensional look, which is already helped by the design of the letters because they have a built-in shadow already. And so this little bit of lift just gives them such a fun texture. It makes them bounce off the page, and I just love that. Now I decided I needed a little banner up here in the top right corner. It just felt a little bit empty, and I don't ever want to leave any trapped space on the layout. I want to give every part of the layout purpose, and so I thought by adding this little banner up here, it kind of gave this corner some purpose and filled in some empty space. So I will just glue that down there, but the star of the show, as it were, is this beautiful die cut star. I love this piece in this collection. I hope that Zoe does this again in the future, include these almost cut file style star ephemera pieces, and it's so big and it had smaller layered stars inside of it. It is so cool. I absolutely love this piece. I end up using it for 2 areas on the layout, backing each with different colors. The larger one with this orange, again, that I've gutted out from behind the white cardstock. And then I'm going to bring in a yellow paper as well. There's quite a bit of yellow in my photo, so that helps to tie it in a little bit. Another function of this background painty stripe paper is it helps me to bring in a whole bunch of different colors onto this layout. So it's in the background got layers of blue and gray, green and yellow. Now if you kept going up the paper, it goes through red and orange. But this was the piece that I had, so we're making it work. And that's why I added that border on the outside in orange to help me bring in that color as well. Adding in some more of the clear stickers, just these stars to sprinkle around my larger stars here. And I really like having the variation in this cluster of stars between the clear stickers that lay completely flat onto the background. It almost looks stamped onto that white background, and bringing in some fussy cut stars that is our paper, and those sit up just a little bit higher. Some of them I put onto some pop dots to give them a little bit of dimension, and that sort of layering and differing heights just adds a little bit more interest and detail to the layout. So keep that in mind when you're doing large clusters like this. Vary the height, the size, and the type of the stars or hearts or whatever you're using in these clusters around the page. It just gives them a little bit more interest. Also color. I'm being very cognizant of the fact that I have a variety of colors in these small stars. Some of them are punched from scrap paper. Some of them are fussy cut out of the patterns that Zoe created. And either way, I love them, and I love to include stars on boy layouts. I think they're just a great shape. They're nice and versatile for any gender really, but I particularly enjoy them for my boy layouts. It's just immediately what I think of when I think of doing a boy layouts. I'm like, stars. Got it. And because these small and medium-sized stars just aren't enough, I came back in with some teeny tiny little punch stars and fussy cut stars from the pattern paper, and I'm going to sprinkle those around both my cluster of stars to the left, or what soon becomes an explosion of stars to the left, because I just don't know when to stop. I just want to keep adding all the things. So very carefully, very slowly, this star explosion just keeps growing. And in the end, I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun. But in the moment, I was like, okay, Laura, it's time to stop. It's time to stop. Slow down. Nope. Just kept gluing all the tiny stars. So went for it, added a bunch of different colors. If I could find any of the orange and yellow in particular, I went ahead and added those in for a little bit more dynamic, because there's a lot of blue and gray on this layout. And I want to make sure I have a good mix of colors. I am also going to add a little star up there to the banner at the top right. Again, just a little detail, just something small that adds a little bit of oomph to that little cluster. And then we'll come in with some Nuvo drops. Now, while I'm finishing up these stars, I did want to take a quick moment to tell you to check out the Coco Vanilla Studio blog and see the detailed photos for this layout and a quick explanation of my process. And that website is cocovanilla.com.au. So now here is my Nuvo for my controlled splattering. My scattering was with the stars, my splattering comes after, and these two detail steps really help finish off a layout for me. So I use Nuvo as my detailed controlled splattering, and then I come in with gold ink spray to use my uncontrolled splattering, and I'm mostly just adding this around the left side, just integrating the stars into that white space. Now I'm adding some enamel dots at the end of my word phrases, just because I want to denote the fact that they are separate word phrases, and I wanted to make a dent in these enamel dots, and these middle-sized ones are perfect. One of the things I love about Zoe's collections is she doesn't put as many of those big giant enamel dots. shots, you get a lot of the little ones and some of the medium ones and some larger ones, but not giant ones. And I really appreciate that because those giant ones are harder to use. Now, in the end, I do end up adding a couple of the larger white ones at the top and the bottom of the blue strip, just to add, again, a tiny detail. It actually looks like a brad the way it's on there, and I like the idea of it looking like it anchors that blue strip to the background. You'll see that in the photos at the end. Until next time, bye guys!